My name is Mike Berg. I'm the fifth generation family farmer here in the Pleasantdale area. When I'm not farming, I'm teaching for Southeast Community College on the Milford campus in the precision machining program. I've got my wife Debbie here with me today. Got my daughter Amanda and my son Josh. Everyone at this table is involved in our family farming operation. My great-great-grandfather would have started our farm in 1883. He was born in Germany and spent some time in just outside of St. Louis, St. Charles, Missouri. And then they moved up here in 1883, and that's how it all started. In 1929, when my grandfather, Bill, got married, before he got married, he built a home on 140th, a quarter of a mile down the road from where he was raised. And so in 1929, he built that and raised my aunt Pauline, my father Paul, and my aunt Donna. In the early 50s, my folks bought that house, and that's where we were all raised. And
Grandpa moved down the road and
down the road,
another house.
yeah, built another house a couple of miles away, and that's where him and my grandmother had quite an enterprise raising geese and ducks and chickens and selling eggs. We've got a ledger that my grandfather kept from 1939 to 1941, and there are several entries in there where they sold dozens of eggs to the Safeway store. And I know they milked some shorthorn cows and sold the cream to Beatrice Creamery. There's some entries in there for that, and very diversified.
A lot of times we tend to focus on the men in the family, which is great, the hardworking, but there's so many strong women, that partnered with them over the years. And, I think back sometimes when we're out walking around and find little trinkets that sometimes come out of the ground from years past, and, what life had to be like during those times, moving your family up here, taking care of that family as a woman, childbirth during those times. There's so many things that they're just lucky to have survived.
We've seen quite a transition from those early years and how they did things to the way we're doing things now. Over the years, there's been a lot of milestones that I can think of. When I first started farming back in the early 90s, we used a 3-row John Deere combine, 95 special, and that's how we harvested our first crop of corn, and we progressed up from that. Growing up, everything that we raised went to feed the animals, went to feed the livestock. We had a farrow to finish hog operation, we had a cow-calf operation. As we took things over, we didn't raise hogs anymore. We haven't raised sheep. We've still got a cow-calf operation, but we've cautiously added and improved the equipment that we use.
I have pretty fond memories of riding on the, fender of a 4320 planting with a 6-row planter, and it's freezing cold, but, Dad would just bundle me up in overalls and a winter coat, and we'd get after it.
I remember wearing overalls or coveralls, and there were times where, we both work off the farm, so there were times where Deb had to work late, so I'd bundle Josh up and maybe sometimes Amanda, and they'd sit on my lap while I was out planting in late April. We eventually, a couple of years later, we got into a cab tractor. That progressed into a front wheel assist tractor. And from that, we've gotten into auto track guidance systems in a couple of tractors, and we just bought a planter that has variable rate seeding capability. We've set up our current combine with mapping capability. So there's been a progression over the last 30 years that we've incrementally taken steps to improve the equipment that we use for everyday farming operations.
Looking back on it, it's kind of a blessing to see where we're at now with, cab tractors and upgraded planter and equipment and having, GPS and everything on that. And even within the last handful of years, kind of striving forward on the cattle side and, investing into the genetic side of things to progress our, program forward, especially given, the cattle market nowadays and the strong marketing opportunities that are available.
I think one of the biggest traditions in our operation that started with our grandparents and went down to my dad and then went on to us as livestock and being involved in 4-H, FFA, showing at the county fair, showing at the state fair when it was still in Lincoln. But I think the important part of that tradition is you look back and we found my grandma's record book, and then you just see how that trickles down to what we did and the records we kept. But the bigger picture, the responsibility it taught us, the discipline, and just the work ethic it gave us to become adults and use that in our everyday lives and in our careers. Something that sticks out to me is you look back at pictures and you see pictures of my great grandpa around the table telling stories, and then fortunately we didn't hear them from our grandpa, but my dad and uncle did a wonderful job of not only talking about their childhood, but bringing our grandparents and great grandparents back to life with what they brought into the operation. So I think storytelling is a huge part of our traditions and what makes our operation so special.
Probably the main values that my father and grandfather handed down to me growing up is just a good work ethic, a strong work ethic. Have faith in the church, have help the neighbors, take time for your family. Those are all things that certainly instilled with us growing up, and it's very important to us to this day. It makes me feel very proud that we've been able to carry it on for multiple generations and find ways to alter it to fit the current trends in the farming industry. We work with several of the branches of Farmers Cooperative, Pleasantdale and Emerald and Milford, Service Station and Milford Agronomy, and they're all very good at what they do. They're very supportive, very good communicators, and we rely heavily on their specialties at each one of the branches. And not only that, but we appreciate what they have done for the 4-H community, the FFA community at our county fairs, and any other activities that benefit the small communities that they serve. So we really appreciate their services.
Yeah, I think, moving on, the next generation is arguably, just as important as the previous 5 that came before me and everything, given every opportunity they can get to, excel in the world and keep spreading how beneficial agriculture is to the world. Because, without agriculture in this world, you don't have a world. So what better way to give back to the world and to the next generation than to provide them with that opportunity and keep things moving forward for the betterment of everybody.